What's up, guys? Today I will be doing my review of slowthai's new album TYRON. It just came out honestly a couple of hours ago, and I just listened to it a couple times through. It's 14 tracks, 35 minutes, and it's one of the most anticipated releases of the year, I would say, because he released an album a couple years ago called Nothing Great About Britain to a lot of acclaim. It did very well, like commercially, and it's what kind of blew him up. And I actually discovered Slow Thai a couple years ago through a Tyler retweet because I saw he had a song with one of my favorite artists at the time, Skepta. And Skepta and other artists like Stormzy have kind of done their part in making British music and grime and specifically kind of mainstream in America. And Slow Thai is kind of led up to this album with a lot of amazing features and a lot of amazing singles and that type of thing. He has a song called Cancelled featuring Skepta, and then the first feature that just comes to mind is his feature on Amina's album, Pressure in My Palms, and that was in my opinion, one of the best features last year. I really liked it. He's also just done some work with Brockhampton on their album, Ginger, which released in 2019, and I think to start off, the biggest appeal of Slow Thai to me is kind of how I feel he kind of represents this youth voice about British music, and I think it's something that it's personified in the US a lot, but I think in Britain it's a lot more, I guess, activist, if that makes sense. I was just gonna think, I go back to examples like Shut Down and Skepta's music. He says, "Shut down Shoreditch Car Park." It even says, "We don't listen to no politician," things like that. And his debut album, Slow Thai, I'm talking about now, is called Nothing Great About Britain. That's like in a direct attack about just everything about this stuck up. When we think of Britain, we think of a monarchy, we think of like this stuck up country, we think of all this properness, and Slow Thai kind of represents the opposite of that. Just starting off with like his musical style, the album incorporates elements of like grime and hip hop, and it's just kind of methodical, like punk rap, if that makes sense. Some of the songs that actually stuck out to me that I liked in particular was some of the singles. I liked how they kind of meshed with the album. I know it's kind of corny to say I liked singles that were out before, but they kind of meshed with the album. But like Vex, I like Dead, Play With Me. I'm not the biggest Denzel fan, but Terms, the song with Dominic Fike and Denzel, I liked. And then obviously the song with ASAP and the song with Skepta, I like Cancelled and Massa. But just like going back to the album, I think this is honestly, so far with what we've gotten in 2021, I think this is the best album of the year so far, just because it's kind of the first big name release, and it's also just, it's kind of advancing this rising star's career. And you can go, Chance wasn't necessarily a rising star, but you can go kind of two ways with how you want to advance your career. You can drop something really good, build off of that with another good project, or you can do like the Chance route and drop something like Coloring Book, which was good, and then drop something like The Big Day, and then unfortunately fall off. But I think Slow Thai does a very important and good job in advancing kind of the voice of the youth in Britain. Britain is a place that's kind of, it's been, I'd say since 2014-15, it's been in a rising climate of social activism and social change, just with a lot of the stuff concerning COVID. Brexit is probably the biggest one. And just like how the youth have a voice in their country, because the whole issue of Brexit wasn't really voted on by the young people. That was more decided by the old people like Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson. They're kind of making decisions for a whole demographic that they don't really represent. I guess the biggest thing too for me is I think back to Bossy Bop, which was probably the biggest commercial American success in terms of grime and British music. He literally has a song that says F the government and F Boris, which is like a straight up attack. It's almost like Nipsey's song F Donald Trump. It's almost like that, but it's just reserved to a line in the song. But I just like how Slow Thai kind of uses his voice and his platform to kind of advocate for the youth and kind of his social issues in his style. I think his little punk style is kind of it exemplifies just the beauty of kind of rap music and hip hop music and grime specifically, because it incorporates elements of like dance and house, but also elements of like hardcore like coke rap. If that makes sense. If I were to have to give this album a rating, I would probably have to say an 8 out of 10 or an 8.5 out of 10, just because I think it serves its purpose well, and also it's just a really good album in my opinion. It caters to slowthai style. It had a lot of hype around it. It didn't fail the hype, and it was just a good album. It's gonna help slowthai blow up in the mainstream. I mean, he's already kind of big in Britain, but over here, I think this album is gonna kind of vault him into a newfound level of popularity. Just because I think the feature list, I think the features are good. He did good on promo. I know he performed on Jimmy Fallon, and I think just with those two factors, looking at it, I think this album serves its purpose well, and I think it's going to be the first music review and kind of a new series I'm starting with a lot of the major releases that are coming out this year. When Certified Lover Boy comes out, I'm going to drop a review to that. When The Fall Off comes out, I'm going to drop a review to that, and kind of other projects that I just want to. And yeah, thank you.